Broadcasting live from the center of the universe. It's Business School Without the BS. Featuring optometrist turned entrepreneur, Dr. Robert Zellner, with USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark.
It is the Thrivetime show. Let your boo begin. Where we drop knowledge bombs for you in Portland. Teaching the proven systems to make your ends. So you can produce the greenery like all the Oregon. Sue will call you Franklin cause you got Benjamins. We'll call you Ben Pearl cause you just bought a Benz. And then you'll be bragging to your wife and kids that your wallet's overweight but it used to be thin. Thumbs away, this is Clay broadcaster with the Zen. With the focus locked in like San Quentin. Can I get a B to the O to the M? You've heard the rumors, he is I and I is him. He be the Z and I be the C. Now it's teaching business skills from Clay to Z. We both grew up poor, but we're poor no more. The goal of this show is to help you soar. Yes.
Wow.
Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. Portland, how are you doing? If you're listening right now from Portland, Oregon, and you are maybe doing some whale watching while listening to the show, that is an incredible combination. We hear from the people in Portland that whale watching while listening to the show is the perfect stimuli. You got the visual stimuli, you got the smell of the sea, and the audio.
What kind of whales are passing by this time of year? Do we know?
In Portland?
Yeah.
That's Chup's category. Let me throw him under the bus real quick.
Whoa,
Google that stuff.
Now, while Chup's looking that up, Z, you know what we're talking about today?
What?
We're talking about one of your favorite subjects.
Whoa, making money?
It's nailing it, then scaling it.
Oh, yeah.
Nail it, then scale it. And this is the question I want to ask all the Thrivers. Z, is it okay if I start off by asking the Thrivers a tough question as Chup does his research on whales?
Absolutely. I think should we keep some tough question music or?
I got an answer already.
Oh, really? Wow, that was impressive.
Looks like the bulk is going to be gray whales.
Gray whales.
Gray
I'm
whales.
no marine biologist, but
Final
gray
question
whales.
I would have.
Are you sure you're not a marine biologist?
I played one.
Okay.
Final question that I would have is good Portland knowledge. I think it's important that we all have is how big is the average gray whale? I mean, how big? I mean, is it like the size of a?
Well, let me just tell you, gray whales is typically stretched between 40 to 50 feet.
Whoa!
And they weigh in around 30 tons.
That's a big animal.
I'm going to throw it out there for you.
That's
You said
huge.
40 to 50 feet long.
Yeah.
That's like significantly bigger. That's like the whole man cave and the new man cave annex.
It is. It is.
And it's a
we could fit a gray whale in here.
And it's a mass of humanity or mass of non-humanity, mass of what it'd be officially. Are whales officially classified as a mammal? Is this correct?
Yeah.
So a very large. I mean, this is massive.
Massive.
It's gonna take me the whole show just to grasp how big that is.
What? That's like 150 feet long.
Okay, so as you're listening to the show while whale watching, don't get distracted and run right into one because that's scary. So Z, here is the rough question I want to ask the listeners.
Okay, here we go.
You have this idea to grow a business. You have ambition. If you're out there listening, you have ambition. You want to grow a business. But are you somebody who just has ambition or somebody who has the self-discipline needed to actually get it done? Because if you are somebody who has the ambition, just the mere ambition to be successful, but you don't have the discipline needed to follow through on your commitments, it's really harmful for everybody involved. It really is. So I'll give you an example. I see this all the time. We had a guy who attended a conference about a year ago, comes up to me and he says, man, I got a question. I said, what? He goes, how do you deal with all the legal drama of owning a business? So
that's a good question.
So I said, what kind of legal drama? He goes, well, I'm getting sued by multiple clients right now. And I said, well, what's going on? And he says, I'm so busy right now, I'm not able to deliver on the stuff they paid me for. So I'm like way behind. So I said, excuse me? And he said, well, this is a true story. He says, the whole no-brainer thing that you guys did, I'm a contractor, and I made the offer. I love the no-brainer. I listen to your podcast every day, and it works. So the offer I said is that if I don't get your home remodeled on time, every day I'm late, I'll refund you, $200 a day. I guarantee to be on time and on budget. He goes, but the thing is, I'm way over budget and way past the deadlines on every project, And I said, so what are you doing? And he basically was explaining to him he's just ghosting these people now. And he's getting legal notices. And I see that probably 1 out of 2 times I meet an entrepreneur. It's where their business is so big, quote unquote, that they literally are not editing the photos on time. That's why Epic Photography was such a fish in a barrel, easy business, because we took your wedding photos and got them to you on time. which was the trick.
What was it, like 2 weeks? I mean,
we got them in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And our average competitor would promise the bride and groom they would get their photos back in like 2 months. And they usually would get them back in 6 months, if ever. A lot of them just never did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very common for our competitors to just straight up not
Ghost
ever.
them.
I mean, see, have you seen this with small business owners? It's like they have the ambition needed to be successful, but yet not the self-discipline needed to knock it out.
Absolutely. And I think that's why Forbes has it so high. 90% of startups fail and 80% of businesses fail. I mean, and I think the thing that's lacking in there is knowledge.
Knowledge, yeah.
Mentorship, which is what we're trying to humbly provide for the listeners out there. Humbly provide for you. And then the discipline, the self-control. And that's
the coaching.
That is. And that's,
if I don't want to do discipline, I just thought of the sales stuff.
Would we call that a entrepreneur? Would that be kind of?
I feel
that is an entrepreneur, yeah.
I see
want to
that.
do it, just.
But it's harmful for everybody involved.
Yeah, it's hostile too. Can be. It's like
it can be a crazy thing. And honestly, Chubb, as a business coach, you work with some really, really cool clients. But have you not had some awkward moments over the years where someone says, "Yes, I just getting food right now, and it's because," and you peel back the onion, not a ton, right?
Right.
And then they go, "Yes, it is true. I have not fulfilled my duties, but I want to see how do I get out of it."
Right. Well,
I mean, do you not see that?
It happens a lot, and that's why you have to begin with the end in mind when we work with clients. That's what we talk about all the time. What systems do we need to build as we're going down this path together, so that when you scale, when you do grow, you've nailed it. Right. We're not scaling a fail. We're not freaking out whenever we get too big. We're ready for it, and we're building as we grow.
So here's the question I want every listener to ask yourself right now: analyze your goals and make sure that you actually want to go to the next level of financial freedom and time freedom. Like, make sure you actually want to do that. I mean, make sure it's worth it. So, Z, here's an example.
Is that a trick question?
No, I have a friend.
Are you trying to trick me?
This is a very real situation. I have a friend of mine who played college football, and he was drafted within the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. And he played as a running back in the NFL. Okay, this is a guy who I won't give a whole lot of details. I don't want to share his story without his permission. But basically, he never played at all, like just ever, never played.
Never played.
But he was third string, which is a sweet gig as an NFL running back because practices you're super sore. There's very limited contact drills because the practices are, I mean, you don't want to practice getting hit by a linebacker too many times at the pro level because you're going to get hurt.
You're going to die.
So you only, and see, if you've been around any NFL players, after Sunday, they're so sore, those guys can't move really functionally till about Wednesday. And so he had this sweet gig where he's a backup running back. And I remember he used to always say, God, man, I wish I could play. I wish I could get out there and play.
Sure.
And those of us around him were like, we do. We want you to play, And he's got, I just want my shot in college, man. I was good. All-American, man. I was drafted high. I wanted my shot. Well, through a series of unfortunate events for the people ahead of him, all of a sudden he finds himself as a starting NFL running back. And he did well. And I talked to the guy, and I said, how's it going? He goes, it is awful. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, literally, dude, I think I've got multiple fractures on a couple of my fingers, but I have to play. Like the NFL, you have to play. And there's kind of that old saying, but the NFL stands for not for long if you're injured. I mean, if you miss a game for injury, they're likely to replace you.
You're right.
And so he says, I have to play. And I go, well, and this is a true story. I said, what's broken? He goes, I know I have fractured fingers, but I have to play because they're considered to be not like game enders here. Also, I think I'm developing a stress fracture in my foot, but we've got one more regular season game, and then I got a 2-week, before the playoffs start, whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, anything else? He goes, yeah, I have like a contusion on my thigh, which is a deep bruise of the bone, essentially. He's like, I can't walk without limping. And I said, so what are you going to do? He's like, well, they give you shots before the game. But he's like, but I got to have one more good game because I can get one more big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm going, so what are you going to do next year? He says, I'm out. I'm going to do probably one more deal, man, but I'm out. Like and he didn't want it. He realized he didn't want what he thought he wanted.
It's a dog that caught the car, right?
I really do believe this. This is the dog that catches the car. So Tim Ferriss has a notable quotable that I want to read to all the listeners out there, and I think it's a powerful quote. Tim Ferriss says, for all their complaining about what's holding them back, most people have a lot of trouble coming up with the defined dreams they've been holding out for. Z, think about that. For all their complaining about what's holding them back, most people have a lot of trouble coming up with the defined dreams that are being held from. So I would just say this. We're going to teach you specifically how to scale your company. But Z, if you're an entrepreneur, let's just go through the checklist of things you have to do.
Okay.
One, you have to honor your commitments.
You do.
You can't be the guy who says you're going to be at work and doesn't show up. And as an employee, there's people that play that game.
Oh, yeah.
In school, you could actually kind of scam your way to a B, right?
Yeah.
And as an employee, there's certain people that use every single personal day, every trick. And so you know these people.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, their uncles died 3 times,
And you're going to maybe keep them around if they offer an A-level skill and they, the B-level consistency. Maybe they're better than firing them. So sometimes these people can stay in a company for 5 years or 10 years, and that's what they do. You know that the day before it's the Friday before the week of Thanksgiving, they're always sick.
Always sick.
Then they take off that weekend before Thanksgiving because Monday's kind of a junk day. Very few people work, I'm sure, Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, they might as well take that off, too.
People are traveling on Tuesday and Wednesday.
But that move doesn't work as a self-employed person.
Oh, it does, but then you find yourself in the cheese line pretty quickly.
So another example, as a self-employed person, you have to be a leader. So, see, as a boss, as an employee, you can have meltdowns. This is a new word I've heard a lot. People say, I need to take a mental health day. I've heard employees use this phrase a lot. Z, I need to take a mental health day.
Oh, that just makes me cringe. What does that mean?
Well, apparently people are being coached to use it. I hear people say that all the time. It's like a younger move the younger whippersnappers are using. A lot of 18-year-olds, 20-year-old employees, they'd love to say, I need to take a personal day for my mental health. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I'm going to snap.
But see, as a business owner, see, what if you string together even 2 days in a row of taking a mental, because you've been around a lot of entrepreneurs who've bombed. What happens?
It's funny because, I've had doctors work for me before, optometrists, and they say, I'm going to go do my own thing. And if they've done things correctly and they give me the right time frame, we have a deal. I'm like, hey, I'm backing you. Go for it. Boom, I'm here to help, And then pretty soon,
boss. Right.
all of a sudden, those season tickets down to said college football games that are on Saturdays, because he never could work Saturdays, because I was trying to squirrel off on Saturdays, sick on Saturdays and this on that, and all this, and so that's kind of like,
yeah. I remember.
Now you have to. If you're not there, you're making no money.
You're losing money.
I remember my first harsh mentor session with Lori Montag, who was not a mentor, not a coach. She was just a very good friend who'd been very successful, and she's willing to give me those hard life lessons a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
So I met with Lori, and I said, Lori, gosh, it's like I wanted to be self-employed so I could have control over my schedule. And she says, baby, here's the deal. You get to choose whatever 40 hours a week you want to work between Monday and Wednesday. And then between Thursday and Saturday, you get to choose the other 50, 60, 70. So really, you get total mastery. You get to decide when you work those 80 to 90 hours a week as a startup.
Completely up to you.
Midnight, you could pull an all-nighter. You could work in the middle of the day. You could work Sundays. And really, anywhere you want to put those 80 or 90 hours, you can do. Total control, Z.
Total control.
Time freedom.
Now, once you are diligent and disciplined long enough and you delay gratification, then you earn that time freedom. So when we come back, we're going to assume, Z, that you, the listener, have decided it is worth it to me. The time freedom, the financial freedom, I want that, baby. I want the budget.
I want it.
I want the lifestyle.
Okay, I want it. Okay, you've talked me.
I want I'll trade it. I'll do the trade-off.
So now we're going to walk you through what you have to do to escape this self-employment trap where you're not consistent or diligent enough to ever actually break free of that cycle, but you want to. So we're assuming that you're disciplined, you got it together, you had your pep talk, and Z, you're ready to go. And so we're going to walk you through
Let's fire this thing up.
Chup, are you excited about this?
Hey, if you're ready to go, we're going to teach you what you need to know.
I don't look now, but I think there's a gray whale outside the window.
Oh.
I was going to make a whale noise, but I don't know what that is.
It's like I'm a whale. I'm a whale driving by the Thrive studio. Tune in. It's wet.
Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170. Broadcasting live from the center of the universe. It's Business School Without the BS. Featuring optometrist turned entrepreneur, Dr. Robert Zellner, with USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark.
You know what? Every time I hear that intro now, I get a little hungry for pecans.
I get hungry in general. In general, I get hungry. You know why I get hungry?
Batman reference? I don't know.
Bam.
No, I think one of the keys to not being hungry is eating consistently. And I've got to have a consistent meat delivery. That's what I have to nail down in my life. That's my next hack.
We could just set up like a meat IV bag, blend it like Chup used to always like to do, make a meat shake,
blender burger,
meat malt.
That's going to be my next
meat.
That's going to be my next move. My next life hack is consistent meat delivery. Now, we're talking today about nailing your business model, then scaling it if you want to. We're assuming that you want to. So I'm going to read you a notable quotable coming in hot from Jeff Hoffman, the former CEO of Priceline, and David Finkel, the best-selling author of the book Scale. And here is the notable quotable for you. He says, most level 2 business owners get caught in the self-employment trap. They're so busy doing the job of their business that they can't step back and focus on growing their business. What's more, because of the way they're building their business, the more success they have, the more trapped they become inside their company. Z, what say you?
Absolutely. And so many times I'll talk to people that are in that trap. They're working so hard, but their business is growing and it's just consuming all their time and they're frustrated by it. And you ask them deep questions like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be in 5 years? I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to be in 5 minutes, And I say, well, why don't you get some help? Well, that's a good idea. Maybe I should start getting a manager to oversee all the employees and to do payroll and to do XYZ because.
But I think I'm missing a meeting. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
there's just that sort of burning fire.
And so it's a transition because it's your baby,
right?
And you know how to love on your baby.
It's easy.
It's your baby.
It's your baby.
Nobody loves your baby the way you love your baby.
That's
in fact,
true.
we often lie and look at your baby and say, oh, that's a cute baby.
Beautiful baby. You can never say it's an ugly baby.
No, you can't.
You can't slap a baby.
And let's call it what it is. There are some ugly babies out there.
You got to see the baby.
But it's so difficult after you raise that baby a little bit to hand it off to someone and say, here, help me.
Look at your baby. It looks just like a little cone head. It's so exciting. Look at its face is all bizarre. It's like a hairy, like a gremlin.
Yeah.
Speaking of babies, did you know that a baby gray whale can consume as much as 80 gallons of milk per day?
Well, I did know that. I mean, that's one of the things.
It's kind of common
when you broadcast in Portland, I mean, I did not. That's incredible.
The scientific name of a gray whale is Escherichius robustus.
Speaking of Escherichius robustus, there's another notable quotable from David Finkel and Jeff Hoffman. It says, you've got to make sure that even in the midst of meeting the daily demands of your business, you take some of your energy and invest in the systems, the team, the internal controls that will allow you to scale your business beyond you. So you're busy, but you got to invest the time to build these systems.
And that's the thing that gets a lot of people, because when they're done with work, they're just like, I want to check out. I want to take a break. I've worked so hard today. I want to relax. I want to have a little me time. I want to take a mental health break. That's the new line, I think. So, and it can't be that way. The thing about it is that late at night, early in the morning, you pick your slot, because those are the two slots that are typically open to most humans. Humans. Could be humans. I don't know. Apparently.
I think if you say humans, it sounds more sophisticated. It says humans.
And for me, it was late night. I know for you, Clay, to work on your business, your meta time and all that is early in the morning. You get up you get up while I'm going to bed. We're like that donut commercial where the guys passing each other, coming and going.
At 3. If you're waking up at 3, if you're going to bed at 3, I'm waking up at 3. That's that spot. It's the perfect cornucopia of the perfect intersection. The boats passing in the night.
Well, here's what the Thrive Nation can take away from today's podcast, radio show.
Yes,
there's one of us awake 24/7.
This is true.
So you have one of the you either have Clay or Z awake thinking about you.
If things go bad, we could be a perfect military operations to fight off the end times bandits who want my well water.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're on watch duty, right? It's kind of like, okay, 3:00, I'm going to bed. Time for you to get up and watch.
Now, Thrive Nation, here's the deal. You got to set some big goals. So, Chup, here's the first action item I want all the listeners to do. I want you to go ahead and set some big goals for yourself today. And you need to put a timeline on them, okay? So set yourself some big 5-year goals. Set yourself some big 5-year goals. Then I want you to be mature enough about it. I know you are mature enough. I know I certainly am not mature enough, but I know that you are, to go ahead and make a list of the trade-offs you're willing to make. And it's important that you write it down. I've worked on this so many times with clients. Write down, and Shep, I want to put this on the show notes, because when you write down the trade-offs you're willing to make, it's great. Because you also, when you write down the trade-offs you're not willing to make, it's empowering.
It is empowering.
I'll give you an example of a trade-off I'm not willing to make. I, by and large, am not willing to travel. So I have missed out on many of life's wonderful deals because I just don't want to travel. I don't care what the upside is. It's just not worth it to me categorically, systemically, for most things. So if it's a speaking event, I used to do that, and I can honestly say that those were the darkest, worst moments of my life was traveling. I just hate it. So it's a thing of like, now that I don't need to, I'm not going to unless it's like but somebody else says, I would love to travel, but I just will not make sales calls. Okay, then hire someone to make sales calls.
Right.
Or hire someone to travel for you. You just have to, these are things you have to, because see, if you're not willing to say, I'm not going to do that, or I am going to do that, then you're going to have this cognitive dissonance all the time because you're going to say you're going to do things you won't do.
Yeah, and you've got to be honest with yourself. Ooh. You got to look in the mirror and you have to say no to yourself sometimes,
That's hard.
Are you really saying that? No.
Now Chet Holmes, Chet Holmes, the best-selling author of The Ultimate Sales Machine and the former partner of Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's partner, kind of his partner that no one knows about, who's worth over $3 billion. Chet Holmes writes, we all get good ideas at seminars and from books and radio talk shows. Hey now. And business building gurus. Implementation, not ideas, is the real key to success. So you got to implement. That's what our business coaching program is all about, is helping you actually get the crap done. So I'm going to list off some of the things, Z, and you can just tell me how long it would take to make a good one of these.
Okay, go ahead. Fire off.
A checklist for opening your store. How long does it take to make something like that?
I would think you could knock that out in less than an hour.
Call scripts for inbound scripts, FAQs, that kind of thing.
I think that probably could take a little bit longer because you're going to think about it. You're going to role play a little bit. You're going to rehearse them. You might even record yourself a few times doing it. So that's probably an afternoon, for all your scripts.
What about workflows? Creating a work flow, like a system of this is how we do. This is the total blueprint for the Megatron system.
The total blueprint for the Megatron 5000 XYZ. That would take probably workflows, depending upon how many steps there are to getting your product, service, widgets done, because that's, there's some things that are much more complicated than others. But here again, I would think that on the high end, half a day, on the low end, a couple hours.
So as Z is listing off how long it takes, these are obviously approximations based on his experience, but what you're going to find is they take hours of undivided thinking time.
Attention.
So how do you say no to all the distractions that get in the way of your actions? When we come back,
you say no.
Chubb, when we come back, first off, that was too early with the saying no, and so I rebuke it and I say no to your ruining of my teaser. When we come back, we're going to teach you how to say no, to distractions and distractions caused by gray whales.
Hey, you guys. Hey. Wait. I speak gray whale. I'll let you know when we come back what he said.
You are now entering the dojo of Mojo and the Thrivetime Show.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. 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 This is Clay Clark on the mic again. Myopic focus, tunnel vision. I'm focused on the mission to teach you the skills and give you the plans. Broadcasting from my lands to the left, to the Portlands. I'm here to tell you you can do it, yes you can. And now my friend, you got two fans. He be the Z, comma, ands. I'll be the C, yes, ands. Now let's kick it like Batman, bam, and get a little nuts like pecans. Yes, and yes. Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download. Portland, Oregon, welcome. Tulsa, Oklahoma, welcome. If you are joining us right now from Portland, Oregon, while riding on the back of a gray whale, that's impressive that you're using the waterproof smartphone technology for good, because a lot of times you say, I have a waterproof smart phone, and you say, that's cool. But when would you really
use it?
But but you're using it while listening to the podcast, while semi-submersed in water. That's cool.
That's cool. Very cool.
On a whale.
On a whale.
And you also could be working on like crushers or your fitness, because you got 49 feet to work with. That's right. A lot of length there. You could really be camping out on a whale. You could be doing sprints on a whale.
You could have whale villages where you just build like little buildings on the whale.
Little whale huts.
Little hut. I bet you if you go far enough left, you get away from the taxable regions of the United States, and you could create yourself kind of a floating tax haven. You could be like the Cayman Islands of entrepreneurship.
This has feet. I think I can go with this.
Whales do not have feet.
I
hate to be that guy.
We'll have to back off that ledge. Okay, so we're talking today about nailing it and then scaling it. And this is what Jeff Hoffman and David Finkel have to say. Who are these guys? This is the former CEO of Priceline, Jeff Hoffman. He's saying, most business owners get caught in the self-employment trap. They're so busy doing the job of their business that they can't step back and focus on their business. What's more, because of the way they're building their business, the more success they have, the more trapped they become inside of the company. So this is what's happening here is you now are going, okay, I am a busy business owner. I'm listening to the show today, and I want to scale it. I want to do that. I want to do that whole time freedom thing. And so you've actually been listening to the entire broadcast, the entire podcast. And so you've actually made a list of your goals, your F6 goals for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun. And now you've said, okay, I'm willing to make the trade-offs. I'm willing to commit to 5 hours a week to work on my business. That's like before work or after work, on the weekends, whatever. I'm going to give you 5. That's a reasonable thing. I think a lot of our business coaching clients give me typically about 5 hours a week they're willing to work on the business.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fair average. So you say, what am I going to do during those times? Okay. Well, one is you got to create checklists and systems for everything. And that's fun to do. No, it's not. Then you got to make a script for everything. That seems like a lot of fun. Typically not. Then you got to write a workflow, and it's going to be wrong, and you got to edit it. And then when you make all this stuff, the guidelines, the step-by-step instructions, the software, the database, the universal pricing list, the universal vendor list, then you have to actually get out there and get people to use the systems and figure out why they're not working well. And the thing is, the human race sometimes is resistant to change. Other times is accepting of jackassery. People are pulled to, they're called. People are called. People feel like it's their vocation to show up late and not operate within an org chart. So let me give you an example. You made this org chart during your meta time. You're wanting to scale it. Z, you've got it set up where you got 2 managers.
2 managers.
And those managers manage an assistant manager and a team of 11 employees each. So let's set that they each have 11 employees, like a football team.
Okay.
An offense and defense. There's 11 players on the field.
Omaha, Red 47.
So you have like a defensive and offensive coordinator. Okay, let's say one of your businesses, you have like a defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator. Each one of them has an assistant, and then they've got 11 players that need to be on the field, figuratively speaking, at all times.
Okay.
You've clearly laid out, guys, if you have any questions, ask your assistant manager or the manager. If they have a question, the managers, they'll call me. But that's the system.
That's the system.
Here we go.
Here we go.
This is day number 1. I'm not in the office.
Okay.
Day number 1, because I've made the system, baby. See, what typically happens day 1 of you implementing the new org chart?
One of the 11 sees you in the hallway and says, hey, you got a minute?
No.
Right away. That quick, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
You just had the meeting.
You just had the meeting.
And they say, oh, my gosh, I got to get used to these changes.
I got to get but I could come to you before, and so that this is I got to get used to it. But it was something I wanted to talk to you about, the org chart. So I didn't really feel like I could talk to and then there's always a reason to circumvent.
So people right away now, Z, how do you? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, Napoleon Hill has a quote on this from the book called Outwitting the Devil, and this is crazy. But Napoleon Hill talked about, because remember, Napoleon Hill studied the world's most successful man, Andrew Carnegie. And then after studying him, what he did was he decided, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write down some of the basic things, the revelations I've seen. Chup, if you can pass me my workflow that's in the bag right there. I have a bag on the studio desk on kind of the boardroom table here in the studio. It's inside the brown bag. You'll see a scroll, kind of it's rounded up there. There it is. Nice. Let me see this thing. This is hot and fresh. This is today on my notes. Napoleon Hill. This is what Napoleon Hill says. He studied all these people, very successful people. Then he studied the average person. This is what he came up with. And I'm not kidding. Napoleon Hill was asked by Andrew Carnegie. He said, please study 1,000 people for weeks and make a note of your observations. And this is what he found. The majority of people begin to drift as soon as they meet any opposition. And not even 1 in 1,000 will keep trying after they get rejected 3 times.
Wow.
So he's around these people, and he's like, I've literally surveyed 1,000 people, and I have found only 1 who will continue going upon the 3rd time they get rejected. So I don't know how to teach that, other than I'm just going to tell you, you make that org chart. Now, day 2, the team's following that org chart because you freaked out. You said, hey, listen, you follow that org chart. Don't interrupt me.
Boom.
And they're like, you're so mean. You've
changed. You're not the same guy I knew before.
And so after day 3, day 4, you realize, okay, of the 11 people on each team, 4 of the team members who were hired previous to this new dynamic, they refuse to follow the org chart.
Yeah.
They refuse to.
That wasn't our deal when I got hired.
So then you make a note on a sheet of paper and tell me if this is wrong. You write a note on a sheet of paper and you say, those people I'm going to fire soon. A mental note. I'm going to fire them when it's convenient for me. Because I've already explained it to them numerous times and they refuse to do it. Is that how you do it, my friend?
Absolutely. And of course, you'll put up with what you want to put up with. But, obviously, if they're not willing to even follow an org chart, they're probably not a good employee to begin with. Just a side note.
So you make a sales script. You're so excited about it. You make it. You give it to the team. You ask the team, I want you to answer that phone call with enthusiasm and follow the script.
It's a smiley voice.
And day 1, baby, they say, I'm going to give it a whirl. Day 2. By about day 3, most of the team members will be accepting of the new system. But Z, the one who refuses to do it, this is going to be the magic F we're going to teach when we come back. We always talk about Z, the F6. We talk about faith.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Goals for your faith, goals for your family, goals for your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun. But Z, there's a secret F out there.
Ooh,
we don't talk about it a lot, but this is the final F you have to have if you're going to have success. And I'm telling you, when you get this F, this final little F, you have to have this F. You have to manage this F or you're not going to be able to have success.
I can hardly wait.
We've never talked about it on the radio.
Can we ever before?
Just say it.
Stay tuned. I don't care if you're riding a gray whale. I don't care if one's surfacing right now.
Well, if you are, just a fun fact, gray whales typically have up to 10 inch thick blubber.
Wow.
Just so you know.
I did not know that. Stay tuned for more whale trivia and the secret F here on the Thrivetime Show on your radio.
So sad. Hey, you guys, stay tuned. Over here.
Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.
Nation, we're talking about nailing it and then scaling it. And this is the big breakthrough idea I hope somebody has today. My goal is to free somebody from this mental disorder. It's called refusing to embrace the trade-offs. So let me explain this to you. Jeff Hoffman, the former CEO of Priceline, says, you've got to make sure that even in the midst of meeting the daily demands of your business, you take some of your energy and invest it in the systems, team, and the internal controls that will allow you to scale your business. Now, what happens is then Chet Holmes, the best-selling author of The Ultimate Sales Machine, he says, we all get good ideas at the seminars from books, radio talk show hosts, and business-building gurus. Implementation is the key to real success. So now you've built the systems. You've taken the time to write the scripts, make the guidelines, make the step-by-step instructions, make the org chart. Z, you have made the best script ever. You've set up your call recording. You've tested it yourself. You're doing group interviews. Everything is going great. You've got your time for your faith. You've got time for your family. You've got time for all the F6 goals: family, finances, fitness, friendship, fun. You've scheduled goals for you. Scheduled time into your schedule for your faith, for your family, for your finances, for your fitness, for your friendship, for your fun. Everything is going right. Now, here's the deal. You've got a soccer game to go to for your son because you've committed to be there because he's on your goals, baby.
Oh, man.
And the game is at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. And you see church is at 10, and that's on your schedule too. And you've got your phone off, and you're ready to go do it, man, because you are diligent. And then what happens is your wife gets a text message. Your phone's off, though.
Your phone's off.
You look to your left, to your right, and you go, no big deal, my phone's off. Your wife says, hey, I just want you to know Gary can't come into the office today. He wanted to know if you could fill in. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is when it gets real. Because Gary, who works for you, who's your loyal manager guy,
yes,
he's sitting on a pre-planned emergency. So you now have to decide, do you give your focus to Gary?
My goodness.
Or do you give an F about your family? Focus. Do you give an F about your family? Code word, focus. A lot of people say, I don't give an F. What they mean is focus, obviously.
I don't
That's
give
what
focus.
So here's the thing is, someone would say right now, but you need to give an F about Gary and your business and your family. You need to give an F about everything. See, when the person says, excuse me, do you have a minute? I'm here representing the such and such political party, and I want to see if I could take 10 minutes of your time to take a brief survey. So there's people out there that feel like you need to run around pleasing everybody because the goal is to make everybody happy. So they try. Oh, when they get a Facebook message, they respond. When they get an email, they respond. When Gary wants to call in sick, they want to respond. So for somebody out there who's struggling with forcing this idea upon themselves to understand that when you force Gary to work on the Sunday he was scheduled, thus allowing you to go to the soccer game that you scheduled, he's going to be mad at you and you don't care.
And that's where the rubber meets the road because, as you said, so many entrepreneurs, so many business owners, they don't want that anybody to be mad at them.
No, they don't want to.
They don't want that. They'd rather sacrifice themselves. And I think that's why I see some young entrepreneurs get burned out. They just get so burned out because they're burning the candle on both ends. You hear that statement all the time. It's kind of like they're burning the candle on both ends.
And you hear this is a little thing I see, and this is a deep observation I've seen from over a decade of business coaching. I think everybody, myself included, we all want significance on the planet. We want our life to mean something. So you build that daily, let's say your business you built is a daily blog. And you get an email from a guy who says, I love the daily blog. However, it's like overwhelming in my inbox. So could you go ahead and just do it on Sundays for me? Just for me. I mean, anybody else can get the daily emails, but I just want the Sundays. And you've got like maybe 500 subscribers now. And you're like, sure, I'll do it for you on a Sunday. Well, then Crazy Carl calls you. There's always one Crazy Carl. Everyone has to have one customer, one crazy guy. And he calls and he says, I got to let you know, I don't like the fact that it's all words. I love the content, man, but if you could get it to me in a podcast, I would appreciate that.
Sure. And
also, when you deliver it to me, I keep my phone on because I'm on call 24/7. And when that email comes across, it wakes me up every night. You got to release that email, man, like at noon. And you're like, okay, Carl, I'll do that for you. Pretty soon, though, if you do that even 2 times, 3 times, see that compromise, it'll blow up the mind of your family. It destroys relationships. And Chuck, you see this as a business coach. Help somebody out there who's making all these compromises, and they are beginning to suffer death by a million compromises.
You got to say no, my babies. You got to say no without caring. I talked to a couple clients a couple weeks ago about this, and when it comes to employees, when it comes to clients, whatever that is, you can't care too soon. You have to, especially with employees, you've got to make them earn that care, right? If so, you're going to care about them, it can't be right when you hire them because they will take advantage of you every single time.
I'll give you an example. There's one.
No, wait a second. Someone's out there going, "You're telling me,
yes,
I should not care about the people that I'm bringing into my
You shouldn't care
business.
about the non-compliant, non-diligent doers.
I shouldn't care.
Somebody who's a
That's
diligent
all they're hearing
doer.
is I shouldn't care.
Steve Jobs says people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. You have to pick carefully. I'm actually as proud of the things we haven't done as the things I have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. And so today, I said no to 2 things I thought I would share with the listeners because they're hot and fresh and they're from a life of a real entrepreneur. They're 2 I thought were pretty good. So here we go. One is elephant in the room. It's a men's grooming lounge. Turns out we cut the hair for men.
Wow.
And so we had a lady today that brought in a bunch of boys who are 8, 9, 10, something like that, into our South Tulsa location. She's a mother of boys. And I got a call, and the manager says they're definitely not 10, probably trending 6, 7, 8. She says they're like 10. I'm telling you, probably 5. Maybe we got a 5-year-old here. They're loud as anything, and I know we don't cut the hair for boys under the age of 12. What do you want me to do? And I said, don't cut their hair. Well, she's pretty pissed. And I said, okay, cool. You know, because again, if I had said yes, all of a sudden you got like a kinder care running around in our
not
lobby.
what we're going for.
And another example, we had one lady who applied for a full-time job at Elephant in the Room. By the way, if you're listening today and you cut hair or you know somebody who can, We are hiring, and all of our stylists make approximately $52,000 a year cutting hair.
Wow.
So if you want to make a lot of money cutting hair, you know somebody who does, and there's room for promotion, you can apply today at eitrlounge.com. Interviewed 2 candidates that came in today through the group interviewing process, both of which shadowed me for about 10 minutes. One made a hilarious statement, and I thought you'd appreciate this, Z.
And what'd they say?
She says, I'm 100% committed to this new job. And I'm excited. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I just can only work 1 day a week, but I want to be full-time.
Wait a minute.
And it was almost like a haiku on top of reverse psychology mixed with like a poem that I don't understand.
And sprinkles.
And an
Wow.
allegory. Yeah. And
you can't make that stuff up.
I feel like I watched The Matrix.
Yeah.
And so I said, let me get this. You're saying you want to start full-time, but you need to just work 1 day a week. Absolutely. And I will do whatever it takes now. And I said, okay, well, we'd start with the shadowing process. And if you're a good fit, then you'd have to work a minimum of 36 hours a week. And she goes, absolutely. Now, here's the thing is I can't shadow today or anytime this week. So I'm going out of town. But see, she hasn't even got the job yet.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm nice about it. I'm like, here's the deal. We're interviewing a lot of people today, so I'll let you know. Next lady comes in. This is
Which
cool
basically means no.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Next lady comes in, though. Next lady comes in. She says, this is what I said. This is how I leave that, by the way. See, I always say, if we decide to hire you, move forward, I will call you tomorrow by 9 a.m. That way it doesn't leave them hanging forever, but it's a deal of like a commitment to, if I don't hear from me, it's not moving on.
You have to waste your time calling them to say no.
Right. If not, it's just not a good fit. No hard feelings.
Right. Now, this other candidate shows up, and I said, hey, what do you do for a living? And she says, oh, I work at this retail store, and it's high energy, fast paced. I love that about the elephant room. But in the store, I get an application. And I'm wanting to get started. And I said, okay, well, what hours? She goes, I know companies are mindful about overtime, but I'll work any day. I mean, if you're Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Tuesday, more, I don't know, night, whatever. I mean, whatever you need. I'm just here to work. I really want to. I mean, I've heard I can make $50,000 a year cutting hair, and that's pretty cool. I don't have to do booth rent. I don't have to get clients. I don't have to reschedule them.
No answering phones.
I'm in it to win it. I'll do whatever it takes.
A little bit different attitudes between the two applicants.
But what if you say yes to both, Z? What happens to your head?
It explodes.
So in order to get the time freedom needed, Z, for you to build your systems, you turn your phone off during certain periods of the day?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You go to bed at certain times?
Absolutely.
In order to enjoy the movies that you like to watch, you don't go watch other movies. Seems like a simple idea. But there's entrepreneurs out there that you feel bad and almost guilted, Z, about saying yes to anybody who asks for any moment of your time ever. Cure somebody, Z. Cure somebody.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. You are in control of your day. You're in control of your schedule. You get to decide what you get to do. And if you let somebody else decide that for you, shame on you. Because it's your life. It's your business. It's your job. It's your baby.
As an example, I think all of our listeners should go immediately to Portland, Oregon, and go watch Gray Whales.
What if they're already in Portland?
Go watch Gray Whales.
Go now.
Go, okay.
Quit your jobs. You should do it. That's my opinion.
To quit their jobs?
You got to say no.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show. Have a business question? Email us today at info@thrivetimeshow.com. And Clay and Dr. Z will answer your business questions live on the air.
All right, Thrive Nation, we've got 14 minutes to cover a lot of ground. We're talking about how to scale it after you've nailed it. Now, we're assuming at this point you have set your goals for your next 5 years. You've set those goals, and Chup, you've written down on a sheet of paper the trade-offs you're willing to make to get there.
Right.
Now you're saying, okay, I'm doing it, and I'm also willing to occasionally tell people to, that I don't give an F. I don't give any focus to what you're just saying.
You say, hey, focus off, man.
Focus. Yeah. You know the thing, too, about one thing that I'd like to maybe play with just a little bit, Clay?
Yep.
You've owned a lot of businesses, and I know you've done this in your practice in your businesses. So just out of curiosity, so if someone's sitting there thinking, what's a big goal? How do trying to get my head wrapped around. Can we give them an example?
Yeah, well,
let's choose one of your businesses and say, in 5 years, elephant in the room, you want it to be, you have 3 locations now.
Well, let's say this real quick.
Okay.
I wanted to start Thrive because it was, to me, a cathartic way to be able to sit down with every entrepreneur, thousands of people all around the world who say, can I pick your brain?
Sure.
And I wanted a way to be able to do that, and I think you did too, and it was a great way to do that. And so that was but I didn't have any big business goals in my life at that point, other than I'm committed to doing Thrive for the rest of my life. and I wanted to get it to be profitable and then scalable. That's what I want to do. But it wasn't like there wasn't a goal behind it other than that was the goal itself, was the product itself was the goal. And you challenged me. You said, what are your big goals? What are your goals, Clay? And I said, I really have kind of achieved them all. I want to build this to help mentor millions. And you're like, and we're going to do that. And as a byproduct of that, I need just to know a couple goals. You need to know a couple goals because that's going to drive you in those dark periods. You got to figure that out.
Right.
So we are sitting right now in that goal room. This room,
Boom.
The man cave is,
I love that.
Is a result of that conversation. This land with the chickens and all the trees, this land is a result of that conversation. That wall is a result of the conversation. And then that's what that is.
It's a beautiful wall, by the way.
I love that wall. So we're going to get stained here very soon. My wife's trying to decide the right time, right color. You got to get just right,
Nice.
Put it in the sauna soon. I'm excited. But that's how that happened. So with the elephant in the room, it's entirely different, my goals for that business. So for that business, I've got 3 goals that are I call it the 3 Ps, but here we go.
Money, money, and money.
No, I want to make sure that the people who buy the franchise get time freedom.
All right.
So I want to build a system where it's actually intellectually honest to say, if you buy this, if you work 8 hours a week, you can pull in $100,000 a year. Then that's actually the goal. So and it's possible. So that's one. Okay. If you're working in the business 8 hours a week, you make $100,000 a year. The second goal is that I would I told Justin this, I want to get the first 3 open in the first 5 years. After that, I'd like to open up one every 2 months once we franchise. So right now we were in talks with Mr. Tim, a thriver out there from Dallas, who owns a lot of major fitness companies. By the way, each one of the fitness companies that he builds cost $4 million to build.
Woo!
So he looks at the floor plate and the blueprints for the elephant stores. I'm getting that all digitally made in line items so you can see exactly what it costs in the build out. He's going, you mean I could build one for under $200,000? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, that's significantly less than $400,000. Or $4 million, I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
Less than $4 million. So, Z, your optometry clinic, I mean, just the real estate there by the mall. Yeah. And then building, that's a $1 million building.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when you talk about the fact that you could make 6 figures for under $200,000 all in, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
So I want to make a great profit for the people who own one. I want to open up one every couple months. And the big thing right now, though, the big thing right now is I want to make sure I build the system where it's not in any way dependent upon me.
Right.
And so I'm really
that
to the
is a big key.
Well, I'm saying like payroll, and we have a show coming up soon. I want to pick your brain on this because there's so many thrivers that have asked me, and you're a master at laying out budgetary confinements, constraints, guardrails, if you will.
Yes.
So that you never go over budget with payroll.
Correct.
And these are just some of the systems we're baking in right now into it. So in like Zenoti is a program. If you elect for someone to work more than 37 hours a week, it won't let you do it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like I make it where you just can't do it. So it's
it just tasers you or what?
You literally just can't put them on the schedule. Like it makes it impossible to do it. I'm working on that. I'm working on things where if somebody wants a refund of under $50, it's really easy to do it. If it's over $50, it's really hard to do it. Requires 2 sign-ons. There's just different things like that I'm doing that are system-driven that would make sense at scale. And so that's exciting stuff. And so
you feel like that's a big enough goal to say that's a big goal?
I feel right now, I mean, really, the guys in Dallas, it's hilarious. He calls and he says, hey, there's multiple people in Dallas calling. So I've got another guy who called me in Dallas and he says, I'd like to open up 9 in DFW. And if you want me to send the financials, it's cool. But I've got to build out. I have my own build out team. And I'd like to open them in Austin, Texas, as well as Boston, because I have my own build out team. And I have the investment dollars available. So I just want to do it. So whenever we can do that, I want to do it. Because he understands the niche. He's been there to get his hair cut. He's looked at the market. And a lot of dudes have hair.
Apparently.
So
that's kind of crazy.
So I don't know. For me, I get focused on the little small goals.
Yeah.
This relates to family. I mean, this is my year. This is my year with spending a lot of time with the kids. I've really got my schedule already built in now. So I'm spending a lot more time with the kids. Like I did 5 years ago before starting Thrive, and I wanted to get back to that.
Well, yeah, you did, and just like being proactive. I mean, you built out your man cave to where we have a studio here so that you can actually be in your home. We can be recording. We can be thriving.
And I think our shows are more sincere because it's like dudes hanging out in a man cave.
Because we are actually dudes hanging out in a man cave.
Here are the models. I'm going to go fast. Here are the models that you can use if you want to scale your business. One is franchising. This is basically a business model that ultimately consists of 3 factors. You have a proven turnkey system for just about everything. 2, it's very well defined and world-class branding that's been proven to generate a favorable response. And 3, you know the numbers. See, you have a mastery of the numbers. You don't want to franchise or scale anything if you don't know your numbers.
Well, yeah, because everybody wants to see your numbers in order before they give you money to buy a franchise. So you have to have that nailed down rock solid.
And it's going to cost you $50,000 in legal fees to do it. What's really neat is that franchising gives you, as the franchisor, more control. You can tell people how to do it, what to do, but you have to have a mastery of the numbers. Now, the next move is licensing. Z, if you're the University of Oklahoma, turns out people like that logo, the O and the U.
Oh, and the U, apparently.
They like what they did there. Mm-hmm. And so, Z, when you and I buy an OU hat, the company that makes the hat isn't the University of Oklahoma. But University of Oklahoma licenses out. You can use that logo for the Yankee cap, but you got to pay the Yankees to use that logo.
You got to pay them. So, otherwise, you get into a little bit of trouble.
This gives you less control. However, you can make ongoing royalties. But again, you have a lot less control. Now, corporate growth. See, this is what you've chosen to do with some of your businesses. You went from 1 location to 2. It requires your own money. But see, you've got to be a very good manager and a master of time and the numbers to do this. Why is it so hard to grow corporately using your own money beyond 1 location?
Well, now you have 2 plates kind of rocking. We have 1 location, 1 thing. You could show up, you're there. And any time you're in one of those locations, you're not in the other.
Did you actually make less money when you opened up your second location for a while than when you made when you had the 1? I mean, did you ever have to delay gratification and take a haircut, a pay cut when you opened up your second location?
I'm trying to remember exactly when that happened, and I don't think I did. I had built up such a demand,
such a war chest.
Yes, and it just kind of just rock and rolled on.
You basically just put out the letter Z, and your sexiness drove people to you, and you said, "Hey, listen, folks, I'm not here for the ladies. I'm here for the eye care. So if you are a single lady or a sophisticated mama, I appreciate you, but I want you to understand this is an optometry clinic. This is not.
I see you.
I see you. This is not tourism here, okay? So please, away with
tourism. I like the way you put that. That's nice.
Eyes up here, ladies. Eyes up here.
Eyes up here.
So I don't feel like a gray whale just walking by.
You know, funny thing about gray whales, their typical migration lasts 2 to 3 months, and they go 8 to 10,000 miles.
You know, this I have actually audio. I have live audio from the first female tourist that came to your second optometry location. I have live audio of what she said here, Chip. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I would.
She left a voicemail because she couldn't get in. The line was too big. So this is what she says.
The door wasn't big enough.
Excuse me, I'm just here to see the gray whale. Where do you put the gray whale? Give me a call back.
Wow, is that the actual recording?
That was actual.
That is incredible.
There's no gray whales at the optometry clinic. Now, the next thing you could do, and this is something I would encourage you not to do, unless you really have your stuff together, is taking your company public. This is the process of converting your company into a publicly traded company. And to do this, you have to deal with accredited investors. These are guys that have a net worth of over $1 million. They're pulling in over $250,000 a year. You got legal fees everywhere. And Z, I mean, if you're dealing with the federal government, you're not screwing around here. I mean, this is going to be
serious. This is serious stuff.
Don't mess around with this unless you've got an extra at least $100,000 just in legal fees.
Or unless you have a home down in Costa Rica that nobody knows about that you can get away too quickly.
There you go.
That's not an official tip.
That's not recommended, but that's endorsed by the Thrivetime Show.
The statements made by the co-host of the show are being rebuked right now by the co-host of the show. All right, so bringing in outside investors. When you bring in an outside investor, they're also bringing in their 3 C's. When you bring in an outside investor,
oh yeah, come on.
Note this: they're going to bring in their 3 C's. They're bringing their capital. Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
We want your money.
They're bringing in their connections.
Oh, I want some connections.
Oh, yeah.
Why is Billy here? Is Billy here? When did we hire Billy?
Why is he telling people to do things?
Their counsel. Why did he just send me an email that told me where to go? I remember Mark Andreessen explains this story, and Ben Horowitz explains this story in the book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Opsware was a company he later sold for $1.something billion.
Oh, God bless him.
To Hewlett-Packard. And he and Mark Andreessen were talking. And he says, Mark, when you go out there and talk to the media today, we're agreeing as partners, right, that you're not going to say anything crazy. Right? He goes, yeah, absolutely. He goes, the software is not ready. You're going to announce it's not ready yet, correct? And Mark goes, yeah, absolutely. So Mark gets interviewed in a major publication. And they said, hey, is the software ready? He goes, absolutely not. We're making it the best software ever. You know, the thing is, we have a massive waiting list right now, and if we were to unleash this software all at one time, it would crash our system. So what we're doing is we're scaling up right now so you can keep up with the capacity. So we'll have to push that back 30 more days because the demand for this product is hot.
Hot sauce.
I'm paraphrasing. So Ben Horowitz then sends Mark an email immediately and was like, what was that all about? This is on a major media outlet.
Yeah.
And he says, Dear Ben, F yourself.
Focus yourself?
Yes. So what happens is they sit down. He says, I'll never forget this. I got an email from my partner telling me to F myself. So they met first face to face. And he's like, dude, what was that all about? He goes, it's not ready. If I told people it was ready, right, then they would go buy it and it would not work. And if I tell people that there's a huge demand, he goes, but there's not a demand. Silence. If I tell people there is a demand, then people will want it. And now we've got 30 more days to go. So that's what I did. F yourself.
Right. And now we got to get ready in 30 days.
And that's a little bit about entrepreneurship. So when you bring in outside capital, just understand they're going to give you their opinion. The final two moves, you could sell your business to work on something else, or you could go after venture capital. Now, venture capital is very complicated. We have entire podcasts and radio shows about that, hour-long podcasts. You can find them at thrivetimeshow.com. And we have hours of videos about venture capital, hours and hours of videos about venture capital. So we've got a lot of stuff there for you. But see, if you sell a business, it's kind of like selling your baby. And what happens typically when you sell the business?
Typically, I have done that before, and I had seller's remorse shortly thereafter.
Ooh.
Seller's remorse is no fun. And by the time you get the money for it, then you pay the taxes on that money, and then you put that money in the bank, and you look at it and you go, I'd rather have my baby than that money in the bank.
And they're going to change the baby's name.
They change his name.
Change the colors, change the
his
logo.
outfit.
And then pretty
That
soon,
cut his hair kind of funky too. It's
pretty
kind of
soon though, this is what
Faux
happened.
hawk.
This is what happened to me at DJ Connection. I went back there after I sold the company 2 years later, and no one even knew my name. And everybody that worked there, with an exception of about 5 people, I would have never hired. They're like a totally different culture, a totally different system. And I'm going, oh no, my baby's grown up.